PC era, from 2012 to present day. What's reality? My third phase in PC gaming is the longest, spanning from 2012 to the present. If my memory serves me correctly, there are about 44 major games that have left a mark on me, and all of them are special. Nevertheless, 9 of them are epic. Mass Effect. From the software producer that created Baldur's Gate comes a new epic saga, Mass Effect. All the action takes place in space, in the not-too-distant future, but with immense grandeur, in the refinement of the worlds in which we interact. My first great space role-playing game, in a way. The plot is extremely exciting, with deep dialogue and multiple decision options at every moment, allowing for brilliant and unprecedented interaction, ensuring that no two players had the same path in their campaign. This game was very intense in the technological field, but also in the emotional field, as the creators filled all the written content of the game with the complexity of real-world plots, suggesting that we create our own empathy and antipathy for certain key characters according to our feelings. In addition, the game allowed, through certain key responses, the development of romantic relationships between your character and a character in the game with whom you would eventually interact. In my case, I remember feeling something akin to a slight crush on a character from the Asari race. Such was her elegance and tenderness in her words and actions. But above and beyond the graphics and narrative content were the musical compositions and sound effects, which immersed us in a bubble from which we did not want to leave. On the planet Omega, there was a certain club called Afterlife, where we had to complete some missions. However, when I entered the premises, I had to stop for a moment because I was in absolute sensory delight. The music, the lights, the sensuality of the Asari dancers, absolutely seductive. Also unforgettable was the music that played at the Eternity Club on the planet Ilium. Perhaps we shouldn't even call it music, but rather a futuristic and minimalist musical texture. But it is undoubtedly excellent and perfect for playing in a club or a deluxe bar in that highly evolved planet. Those who experienced the Eye of the Beholder saga in the 1990s fell eternally in love with the strong, strategic component that dungeon crawler games instill in the player's mind, as they force us to exercise our memory like no other game genre. Legend of Grimrock 2. Even with maps, in the more advanced levels, we easily get lost. Or worse, reach the top of a castle and fail to open a crucial door because the key was in a cave, in a forest, miles away. Legend of Grimrock is a wonderful creation that deeply delighted those who ventured into it. The game is deeply mystical throughout. Immersion is achieved through wonderful sound effects and environments. The puzzles are challenging, and graphically the game is brilliant as a dungeon crawler. Dying Light. Anyone who has played the Resident Evil series for years knows that a good survival horror game can dispel any depression or mundane problems. When we see that the masses are behaving like zombies, all we can do is survive. Dying Light is a 2015 survival horror video game set in an open city world that provides us with the most chilling and frightening sensations our souls can bear. During the day, completing the necessary missions tested our composure to the limit. When night fell and terrifying creatures roamed the streets, tunnels, and buildings with sound effects that were all too real, it was almost necessary to say a prayer before taking a step. Graphically, it is stunning. I remember the moment when I had to climb a bridge, and I also remember that the greatest panic was not the hundreds of undead I had to dismember, but the vertigo I felt when I reached the top. War Thunder. In the days of Amiga, I had Red Baron. In the days of PlayStation, I had Ace Combat. Then, with PCs, came Microsoft Flight Simulator. But these were too technical for those who wanted an immediate flying and action experience. Until one day, through the Steam platform, I had a pleasant surprise. A free-to-play aviation game. Well, as I had nothing to lose, I installed it, and for many months it was my #1 gaming priority. It had everything going for it. Good graphics, excellent sound, super accessible and intuitive gameplay, and 100% multiplayer. The adrenaline rush of dogfighting, whether with older planes or more modern fighters, was electrifying. There, you didn't need to be an ace of agility. All you had to do was master the simplest navigation commands and hunt without being hunted. Attacks on ground targets were interesting, but there's no doubt that the aerial combat raised the bar for this game to epic levels. O-Game. A browser game that immerses players in a portal from which they cannot escape. O-Game was created in 2002 and has received successive updates over the years. I have played O-Game at 3 different stages of my life. I recently started a new 4th adventure, but had to put it on hold for academic reasons, as it is overwhelmingly absorbing. For those who allow themselves to surrender to the powers of imagination, it is easy to become fascinated with the unfolding of our initiation into the game, which, in short, is just a series of numerical counters. But for those who revere strategy and economic expansion, O-Game becomes a fascinating game model, albeit one fraught with threats. Since the action takes place on open servers, online 24 hours a day, we cannot keep our resources, minerals, starfleets, stationary, as this makes us easy targets for the sharks of the cosmos. Players who focus all their attention on the military component, creating fleets of powerful ships, often at the expense of plundering the most unwary players. There are heated discussions, in-depth strategies on how to protect ourselves, how to evolve our planets, where to build them. In short, it is a magnanimous game, even if it is currently too pay to win. Ghost Recon Wildlands. If in the past I loved Far Cry because it offered an excellent action gaming experience, as well as impressive graphics and environments, Ghost Recon Wildlands brought back that taste for missions in territories that were as beautiful for their nature as they were hostile. In this third-person tactical shooter, the action takes place in the heart of South America, in Bolivian territory, where, from the plateaus of the famous Salt Flats to the equatorial forests of the Amazon, all 21 provinces were mined by a drug cartel that demanded total immersion on the part of the player in order to gradually dismantle it.
We are hunters.
The immersive experience in terms of graphics and sound is absolutely unparalleled. On the Steam platform, where I bought the game, the last time I checked the game's page, more than 400 hours of gameplay had been recorded, because it's one of those epics that we need to return to from time to time, even if only to drink from a bottle of entertainment that we know will be a guaranteed success. It is the second best shooter I have ever played in my entire life, and it is a game that cyclically sees its online player community grow, as the recognition that we are dealing with an epic game 9 years after its debut makes us want to play the campaign again, or simply play cooperatively with friends. And as if that weren't enough, a mission was created afterwards where we are compelled to investigate and neutralize an enemy that no one in the region can identify, because the terrifying way in which it treats its victims leaves the village in absolute terror.
Whatever we're dealing with, it bleeds. And if it bleeds,
we can kill it.
Yes, that's right. We have to find and try to kill a predator. I found it. I hid it. But in the end, I was the one who was hunted. The beginning of the millennium brought us Baldur's Gate 2, followed by another very engaging game called Temple of Elemental Evil. Along the same lines, we later received Pillars of Eternity, which in many ways reminded us of role-playing games of the past. However, we all knew that BioWare no longer had the ability to surprise us as it once did. So we almost had to rub our eyes when we started playing a game from a software house called Larian Studios, Divinity 2: Original Sin. 15 years of technological development is a long time, and in 2017 it was with great enthusiasm that I once again created a team similar to the one I had created for Baldur's Gate. The worlds had different names, different eras, different stories, but the soul, the essence, the magic that made us vibrate was there again. When entering any room, you could open drawers and furniture, search for objects scattered on a desk. In short, the level of detail was incredible, not only inside buildings, but also in outdoor spaces. Turn-based combat once again exercised our creativity and mental agility, as the enemies had enviable artificial intelligence, and no matter how many times we reloaded in a battle we were losing, the opponent's moves were never the same. The worst was when there were several opponents at once. Daggers flying, spells circulating, spectral hauntings, and guards heading our way. In short, calm was something that was difficult to achieve. Even though we have our personal preferences as the main character, choosing to be a wizard, cleric, paladin, or thief, among many other possible classes, the necessary mastery and critical analysis every second in and out of combat lead us to a fundamental learning curve to maximize the abilities of each member we choose for our team. And even when we think we have mastered the basics, there is always a combat that sends us back to many successive loads before we emerge victorious, challenging, and epic. Starfield. I counted down the months until its release. I bought a graphics card that met the requirements because I had to play this game on ultra settings. Bethesda had already accustomed us to game models where free will reigns in open worlds. In Fallout 4, in a post-apocalyptic environment, my greatest pleasure was investigating areas and buildings, even without following a specific quest, just for the pleasure of exploring. In Starfield, the space I can move around in is just one galaxy filled with over 1,000 star systems, each packed with planets, moons, and hidden outposts waiting to be discovered. It's overwhelming. The ship customization options are incredible, but I confess that I don't intend to spend too much time on that. I prefer to save up credits and buy a faster and more robust one at a later stage. The soundtrack, composed by Inan Zur, combines orchestral swells with ethereal synthesizers. It's the kind of music that makes you stop, look at the horizon, and feel a true sense of wonder. Narrative, anchored by the mysterious Constellation organization, gives us a purpose without tying us to a rigid plot. One of the most rewarding aspects of exploration for me is the fact that we can extract natural resources on each planet, not only to build items, but mainly as a way to optimize our economy. I love mining. Visually, Starfield is stunning. Each planet looks distinct, whether it's a lush jungle world teeming with wildlife, or a barren, windswept wasteland. We can navigate freely among the stars, charting our own course, refueling at a busy orbital station, landing in a crystal-covered desert, and spending hours mining rare minerals. The dialogues feel alive. The choices we make are important and play a role in how characters behave or react to our presence. This game has been installed, but waiting to be played for over a year, as I haven't had the time. However, I know that I haven't even investigated or explored 5% of the galactic systems, so there will be no lack of content when my daily pace slows down and I have more time to enjoy this epic experience.